AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It is AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You. So. And Mr. Vincent Vega. Toby Thomas. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon here in about 15 minutes from right now. I had a request to recap the MLB draft for the rest of the SEC, like winners, losers, all that stuff. So Kendall Rogers will be here an hour to do that. Tasman Mitchell in studio with us in hour 3, not retained by Will Wade. Taz was on Wade's staff the first go-round. Was retained by Matt Moscona, but not retained this time by Will Wade. But Taz will be in studio. We'll talk a lot of basketball, stuff like that, all that's coming up. So a ton to do. Glad you're with us. Let's begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Sunday will be wheels up to Tampa, Florida. SEC football media days will begin on Monday. We know LSU doesn't take their turn until Thursday, but what we do know now are the attendees. So all 16 schools, their head coach, and 3 players will attend SEC football media days over 4 days next week, 4 teams each day. We did learn that LSU will be Thursday morning. So it'll be LSU, Arkansas Thursday morning, and then Mississippi State, Texas Thursday afternoon. Always wise by the SEC to put some heavy hitter at the very end of SEC media days to try to entice everybody to stay. Because quite honestly, after 4 days, it's long and there's a lot of travel plans and people get out and all that sort of stuff. So I understand what they did. This was, though, I'll leak this on Locked on LSU a day ago because I knew LSU's attendees. But we found out officially today LSU's attendees with all of the 16 schools attendees being listed. And there's a lot of star power. 9 quarterbacks will attend. Arch, Trinidad Chambliss, Lenora Sellers, John Mateer, Marcel Reed, Gunnar Stockton. So there's a lot of star power there at the quarterback position. I am very disappointed no Sam Leavitt. If you've listened for any or watched for any length of time, if you've heard us do this segment, this reaction over the years, I have long since believed that 2 things. Number one, I think the media should choose who attends from each school. And that might sound weird, but something you may not know is like at the end of a football game, the working media is passed out interview request forms. And so the players that come to post-game interviews are requested by the media. It's like, what stories are you trying to tell? And so it's very common whenever we get media availability during fall camp or during the season, we request the players. Now, they don't always have to oblige, but we request the players that come for interviews. I believe every school, the media should choose the players that attend media days. And also, every school should be required to bring their quarterback. It's the most important position in organized team sports. They often have the best stories to tell. It's who everybody wants to talk to. Not bringing a quarterback to media days defeats the purpose of media days. And the pushback that sometimes I get when I say this is when people say, well, it's a reward for a senior or something along those lines. I don't care. I don't care that you stuck it out 4 years, that you get to buy a suit and go eat a steak. That's not the point of the event. You ask 1,000 credentialed media members to foot the bill to fly to Tampa to be at this event so we can tell the league stories. Well, we want to tell the stories that are interesting. And what's notable? What do you want to hear? And so every year there's always people on the list who are attendees. And it's a disservice to them because they go in the main room during their time and nobody goes and talks to them because they're not interested. Everybody's quarterback is interesting. So hat tip, look, of course, Arch and Chambliss were going to go, and Lenore Sellers and John Mateer and Marcel Reed, like Gunnar Stockton. Those are obvious. But Auburn's bringing Byron Brown. I mean, Alex Golish had Brown with him at USF. He's not taking a snap at Auburn. He's going to media days. Why? Because he's interesting. Kentucky and their new coach, Will Stein, is bringing Kenny Minchie. Minchie hasn't taken a snap at Kentucky. He was a backup at Notre Dame, now transferred to Kentucky. But they're bringing their starting quarterback. Mississippi State's bringing Kamario Taylor. Split time last year, but a really dynamic, exciting young player who Jeff Lebby is hoping elevates that team. He's an interesting guy that a lot of people are going to want to talk to. So I'm really disappointed there's no Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt committed to LSU or signed with LSU on January the 12th. And it's been 6 months, almost to the day, since Sam Leavitt signed with LSU. And he has not spoken a word publicly since he signed with LSU, which is insane. Just think about the whole recruitment and everything they're in. Hey, Sam, why did you pick LSU? Hey, Sam, what happened on that recruiting visit when it looked like maybe LSU was actually diverting to DeMond Washington and like all the controversy therein, and then, hey, what was it like when, or DeMond Williams from Washington, and then Lane Kiffin hops on a plane and meets you there in Knoxville before you go to Miami? What was that like? I mean, did he meet you in the hallway? Like, did he run down the jetway? Was he standing out front? Oh, by the way, like, since you missed all of spring, how's the timing with the receivers? Since you weren't able to run the offense in spring, what's your knowledge and awareness of the offense, this new offense that you're having to learn now? I mean, all of these are very relevant questions that we all have of a guy, and it's not Sam Leavitt's fault. I mean, he's not like hiding. They didn't make him available during spring, and now he's not going to media days. But these are very relevant questions of a guy who's making reportedly $4 million this year to be the quarterback at LSU. And LSU and Lane Kiffin are one of the most interesting stories in college football this year. That's not even debatable considering the manner in which he left Ole Miss for LSU. We all know the story. So not bringing Sam Leavitt, I think, is a huge miss. And I'm bummed and quite honestly a little ticked about it. But so we'll wait, and at some point they'll let us talk to Sam Leavitt, and I'll look forward to when we actually get to do that. LSU is bringing Whit Weeks, TJ Dottery, and Trey'Dez Green. Again, I got those names yesterday, and I said them on Locked on LSU if you followed my podcast. But Whit's got great energy. He went a year ago. He'll be fine. Whit he's not going to rock the boat, but everyone's going to love him because he's just all energy, all smiles. We asked Garrett Nussmeier a year ago about potentially wearing the number 18 jersey, and he gave a great soundbite about how it would be an honor, despite how much he loves wearing 13. You'll get the chance to probably ask Whit the same thing. Richard Dixon, a former 18, was here yesterday on AFR and talked about how Whit would be his choice. We'll get to talk to TJ Dottery, who did meet with reporters during spring. Dottery, of course, led the SEC in tackles a year ago. He followed Lane from Ole Miss. That was a little controversial when it happened. Of course, there's the lingering Clemson story that Lane Kiffin talked about, how Dottery was actually victimized, which is not how it was portrayed whenever he left Clemson. So Dottery, no doubt, is going to be asked about that while he's at media days. And then you've got Trey'Dez Green, who Trey'Dez might be the biggest breakout star, not just offensively at LSU or in the SEC, but potentially in all of college football. He had splash plays as a freshman. We saw the potential. Last year, over 400 receiving yards. Would have been more but for the injury he had when he got rolled up on while he was blocking. And now, and what is likely his final year in college, he'll probably go to the NFL after this season. Trades could, in this offense, could be the biggest like kaboom superstar in college football. He'll certainly be on the short list of those candidates. So no problem with who they are bringing, but certainly disappointing that Sam Leavitt is not one of them. So SEC Media Days will begin will begin on Monday, and then LSU's day isn't until Thursday. If you don't follow this or keep up with it, that's fine. But typically over the last decade or so, LSU had gone first. They were Monday, and a lot of times they were literally the first one out the chute on Monday. So I think they liked that. Ed Ogeron did that. Brian Kelly liked it, so they continued being first. And now they're going almost complete 180, as they'll be on Thursday. But they'll be the second school on Thursday after Arkansas, but it'll still be in the morning. So Thursday will be LSU's day at the podium at SEC Football Media Days. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Show Up and Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Counting down. We are counting down, y'all, to kick off in Tiger Stadium, whether it's in Tiger Stadium, the box, the PMAC, at the Dome, watching the Saints, or hanging by the pool, or wherever you may be. Make sure you drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. Remember, you can still find those officially licensed, those Folds of Honor specialty limited editions. And every purchase, a portion of those proceeds go to Folds of Honor, which helps fund scholarships for the children of our brave fallen men and women of the armed forces. So drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. Okay, quick break, y'all. We'll come back every Tuesday. We talk a little recruiting with Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. We'll do that next on AFR.
AFR.
Let's Rev, R-E-V. Let's Rev.com, Let's Rev.com. Literally right before I came down in the studio, I was thumbing through the business report top 100 edition, the top 100 local businesses in Baton Rouge. And yet again, Rev made the list, top 100 local businesses in the Baton Rouge area. So congrats our friends over at Rev. And it's certainly a testament to the great level of service they provide and the quality of the products that they provide and the trust that our community, both homeowners and business owners, have in Rev. 90 years in business, 90 years in business. And you stay in business that long because you treat people great. You offer great product at a great price. And that's what Rev does. Rev Fiber is what you need to know about. Rev Fiber, all fiber network, lightning fast internet speeds at a fair price. So you want faster internet. We're talking about home connectivity, security, the whole deal. They can do it. RevFiber.com. RevFiber.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, we continue here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. We always talk a little recruiting with Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger, and Rivals. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing outstanding. A lot of people saw the new Rivals updated rankings come out this week. Maybe a little perplexed because it actually looks like LSU maybe slid a little bit in these rankings. What's notable, Shea?
That I love this quote, and it applies to everything, whether it's how many commitments you have and whether it's not enough or whether the class isn't good enough yet. I say my tagline, it's only July. So senior seasons are going to play out. I believe I've counted. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 more rankings updates before everybody signs. So it is certainly not done in the books, but right now, with the latest updates, I think one thing I'd take away, Matt, is LSU has 2 of the top 10 running backs in the country. There's 2 running backs uncommitted. Both of them are predicted to go to schools that do not currently have a top 10 running back committed. So between Trey Martin, Louisiana's number 1 running back, and Segura out on the East Coast, LSU could, in theory, finish here as the only school in America in college football to sign 2 of the 10 best high school running backs on Rivals. Now, mind you, they do have a commitment from Brennan Lacey, who everyone thought would go to TCU. So for as much as made, and you've talked plenty about this, but about Lane and Charlie's offense and throwing it deep and throwing the clipboard, and it's a touchdown. This is a run-first offense. And to be able to, not through the portal, but high school recruiting, lock up 2 of, in view of Rivals, 10 best prospects out there is a very good thing. And then, you've got Harlan Berry right now for a couple more years. Nobody even celebrated Dylan Jones in the portal out of Wisconsin. Now we think he might be a starter who can, in a tempo offense, be a 3-down back that stays on the field. So you can always supplement with the portal, which Lane does, but kudos to Kevin Smith, the running backs coach, because I think the span of like 20 days, he landed 3 running backs. It went from 0 to 3 running backs, 2 of them being top 10 guys. So I thought that was a big deal that both those guys obviously remained ranked as to where they were. Ahmad Hudson, I know a lot of people are saying, well, he's the number 3 tight end. Doesn't matter. He's the number 1 on the industry. It could change. We know how good he is. And the reality is that if you're ranked that highly, you are legit. And I know a lot of people push back on Peyton Houston and, now he's ranked 10th in the country when he was ranked 8th, and he's still 8th on the industry, the rankings. And, he went out to Elite 11 and he did all this. Look, I don't do rankings. So I tell people that all the time. I haven't watched every kid in the country, and I'm going to guess that people get upset about it have also not watched every kid in the country and how good they are. But I do know if you're ranked in the top 10 and one staff wanted you at LSU and that staff got let go and Lane Kiffin shows up and they want you and Lane Kiffin was his first college offer, that's good enough for me. So when we get into these debates about rankings, which, look, again, I need to remind people, Rivals is made very clear from when we were on 3 and before, it's a projection towards the NFL. It is not a projection to college. If we were projecting towards college, a guy like Peyton Houston would be ranked higher than he is right now. But the number 10 quarterback in the country, a top 100 player, is nothing to, complain about. I think that puts you in, hey, we recognize how elite you are. And look, he's going to go out and throw for a lot of yards again at Evangel. And ultimately, let's see where he's ranked. But I think more importantly, through the whole Elijah Haven, Peyton Houston debate, for me, and I've said it before, is will Lane ever start a high school quarterback? We don't know that answer right now, but all we've seen from him is portal. He went and got 3 portal quarterbacks this year. So regardless of rankings, Peyton Houston has a chance to buck a trend that Lane has not gone with in a decade. Who is the last high school quarterback he signed that he started? And he is stuck with Peyton Houston. So in the eyes of this staff, whether you consider number 10 overall to be a slight on his talent and ability, that's an opinion. Lane and them feel like he's good enough to hold on to, sign, and obviously bring in. So I think that's sort of the theme, is that if your head coach thinks he's good enough and the prior staff thought he was good enough, that you should just be happy and not worry too much about rankings. And again, in July, let's see what it looks like when the dust settles, because hell, Matt, remember, they flipped Corey Barber from Ole Miss. No one even knew who he was. He was a 4-star out of Alabama. When the final rankings came out in February, he was a 5-star, but it just didn't get celebrated. Nobody even recognized it because nobody cares about February signing day. Nobody cares about the final rankings after December comes and goes. So my point would be there is a lot of time left. And look, I do not envy what Charles Power, Cody Belair, the 2 guys who spearhead the rankings for Rivals do, because I know them both personally as friends. And they don't answer my phone calls a lot because all they're doing is watching film and putting together everything. So it ain't, look, their opinions. It is not a science. We know that. We get it. But if I'm an LSU fan and I say, hey, look, the staff feels good about these guys. If you want to talk about rankings right now, what are they, top 10, number 11? I think it's something in that range. And if you can go out there and pop some more, they're number 10. If you go out there and pop some more big guys, you're moving ahead. I mean, number 9 is Texas Tech. They've got as much NIL money as anyone. 8 is Florida, who's spending as much NIL as anyone this cycle. 7 is Ohio State. 5 is Texas. And there is a small margin between those. So you flip a Easton Royal at some point. Well, Matt, you're jumping from 10 to 5. So I know, look, I think that rankings should only be viewed through, this is an opinion and it's fun to debate, and let's see how it plays out. So I think that, yes, a lot of people had opinions on it this week, but that's also the fun in it. I mean, these kids are going into their senior years. That's always considered the best evaluation point because that is your final year. In theory, that's the best you're going to play or best developed you will be. So let's see what it looks like in December. But I worry very little about that, even more so when I know that the head coach of the football team at LSU loves the transfer portal. And if you have any worry about how do we supplement some sort of lack of talent or depth at a position, he's going to go do it through the portal.
Shea, let's talk about some of those elite level prospects. I want to ask about Brewster, about Royal, and about Ahmad Hudson. What the latest is there. Let's start with Jalen Brewster. A lot of buzz, oddly out of Austin, that a flip may be coming, or Brewster and Texas Tech may be disassociating. What's the latest?
Okay, I'll give my opinion, and then I'd like to hear yours. And this is knowing just the lay of the land. Why is a Texas reporter, who's very respected, on 3, Charlie Williams, writing about intel when Texas isn't involved? Now, you could say it's to poke at Texas Tech and all of that. I think it's an agent play. I think an agent is telling people, hey, look, if Texas Tech doesn't step up, watch out. LSU's going to flip this kid. That's sort of where that came from. I can tell you this. Texas Tech right now thinks they're keeping Jalen Brewster. LSU sources feel like, hey, we have a real shot of flipping this kid. But there's so many factors at play. And I don't mean just NIL. I think NIL, if LSU wasn't in the matching or ballpark range, we would not be talking about Jalen Brewster right now, right? So we know, let's take that out of it. I think Jalen Brewster loves LSU. I think that Jalen Brewster could see himself at LSU. But he's 17. You've got a dad. You've got an agent. You've got all of these. You're committed right now. So there's so many factors in play that I believed his dad when he came out and told Steve Wiltfong one or 2 weeks ago it was, that we're not deciding anything right now. Like, all of these people are saying any minute now it's going to happen, but we're not deciding anything right now. And as each day passes, that becomes more and more true. Now, could it happen this month? Sure. I don't think it's happening today, but I read a piece about it of why I thought some reasons they could flip him. And all I can tell you that would sum it up best is this. LSU's daily contact with Jalen Brewster has only increased since that official visit a month ago. So I often say, watch what they do, or watch what they say, not what they do. Well, watch what they do, not what they say. He is saying, I'm committed to Tech, all this, saying the right things. But what he's doing is, Matt, I'm committed, but I made a impromptu visit to LSU the week Edo got hired, and I'm talking to their staff every single day. I mean, he said he has talked to Kevin Peoples every day. And then either every other day, you've got Kevin Peoples or Ed Orgeron or Lane or Billy Glasscock, the GM, talking to his dad, talking to his agent. None of that happens if you are not really sincerely thinking, am I going to go to college? Could I go to college there? So this is an LSU versus Texas Tech battle. I have no idea when he's going to decide, but I do think that the communication and it not being, because I've seen this before, yeah, we're in on this kid, but he doesn't answer when we call, or he's hit and miss. If you're talking to someone every day, and so is your dad, who's kind of running his recruitment, and your agent, they're not wasting their hours if they're not seriously thinking about it. And if you're just trying to run up Texas Tech's money, you would have already done that by now. So I truly believe that this is a situation where the family is thinking, what are we going to do? And they're working through it, and LSU is right there every step of the way. So there's far too much, call it buzz, call it smoke, call it something brewing if you're trying to do the play on words. But there is a shot, and a very realistic one, that they can get Jalen Brewster, who, again, if for the average kind of person who doesn't follow recruiting day to day, this is your number one overall prospect in the country. This is Lamar Brown, right? Like, he was the number one overall prospect in the country. That's what Brewster is this cycle. And I do. I think that they've got a very legitimate shot to pull this off, but I don't think it's done on either side yet.
Okay. Shea, I'm a little short on time, but I do want to we'll get to Royal another day, but I do want to ask about Hudson, because it seems like maybe there's a little smoke to that, or a little fire to that smoke about Hudson waffling. And I don't know if it has something to do with a basketball commit or whatever the case may be, but any update on Ahmad Hudson? Anything for LSU to be concerned about there?
Okay, I'm going to put I'll put my name out there on the line here. He's not going to flip. Okay. I talked to Ahmad Hudson in person, and he told me, and I specifically asked about everyone freaking out about Instagram and him taking off the LSU stuff in Nebraska, and he just looked me in the face and said, I'm 17. I know where I'm going to school, but it's fun for me to kind of keep everybody guessing. And yes, Nebraska has laid it on full with Hoiberg, this basketball push. But when he got on his OV, Matt, before he met with football, he sat with Will Wade. He sat him and his mom for hours. And then after that, he said, we've never felt better about things. So barring something crazy happening, Ahmad Hudson's going to LSU, and he will be on the basketball team and the football team.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. I think that's what everybody wanted to hear as a dismount. Get him at Shea Dixon. We appreciate you as always, man. Thanks for making time.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
All right, dude. We'll see you. It's After Further Review, brought to you by Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Looking forward to a few weeks. It'll be the Best Dressed, the Capitol Gala, Best Dressed, and looking forward to seeing Brandon and Adrian Holly out there. It's rare that you go to a charity event in and around Baton Rouge without seeing the Relief Windows logo, because Brandon and Adrian are so generous, they're so charitable, they love this community, and they give back in so many ways. But, of course, it all starts with giving to you, the homeowners of the Baton Rouge area. If you need beautiful, energy-efficient custom windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding, shutters, roller shades, they do it all better than anyone, and they never take $1 from you until they're done and you're thrilled. It's Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks to Shea Dixon for hanging out with us. Kendall Rogers will be here in 30 minutes from right now. Baseball season's over, but the draft was this past weekend. We recapped it plenty from the LSU perspective. Had some people say, well, how did the rest of the SEC do? Like, who fared well? Who lost guys? Who was the quote-unquote winners? Well, I don't know. I don't know the high school classes for every school in the SEC, certainly not the country. So we'll get Kendall on to break that all down for us in about 30 minutes from right now. Quick break. We'll go around the SEC. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, because at Goodwood, their sole purpose is to help men live their fullest, healthiest, most vital lives, whatever that may mean. Maybe it's ED treatments. Like if you struggle with ED, they can help. And there's lots of different things. It's not just pills. We're about to drop an Instagram video or a social media video of 2 different machines they have. One, it's literally you sit on this machine. It sends different shock waves through to help strengthen the muscles. It's the equivalent of doing like 10,000 Kegel exercises, doing this machine for like 30 minutes, just sitting there passively. can help with things like if you have a lot of people maybe you had prostate cancer and struggle with with urinary issues. That's part of it. Hormone replacement therapy, peptide therapy. You want to live and feel your best? Our friends over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help you do it. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com. Lowest prices, never any contracts. YourGoodwood.com. ProFormLA.com. That's where I want you to start. ProFormLA.com. We're talking about metal buildings. Metal buildings built right from design to delivery. That's ProForm Steel. ProFormLA.com. I'm so grateful to so many of you who have already reached out. We've only been partnered now with ProForm Steel for a couple of months, but the response has been awesome. It's pretty simple. You need a metal building. Doesn't matter if it's a metal shed in your backyard or you're an industrial contractor and you need a huge metal building like those spaces on Industrialplex in Baton Rouge. You know what I'm talking about. ProForm Steel. The best part about ProForm Steel, one of the best parts, is lead time. They're generally about a month ahead of their other competitors because they produce everything in-house. Purling, sheet metal, beam, fab, all of it in-house. And buy a metal building from them at ProForm Steel. They'll deliver it for free. No questions asked, no matter the size. ProFormLA.com.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, we continue here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You wonder how the draft goes sometimes, the MLB draft. And thanks again to Jay Johnson, who was with us yesterday. If you missed that interview, you can catch it on demand. But it's always fascinating to see how teams may manage their bonus pool. Carlos Collazo is reporting that Jensen Hirschhorn got $4 million from the Atlanta Braves. $4 million from the Atlanta Braves. When you look at the bonus pool slot values for this draft, the $4 million mark is around, it's a first-round pick. $4 million is at pick 22. The Tigers' slot value there is $4.082 million. So, yes, you'll see guys sign for overslot. That's clearly what happened there with Jensen Hirschhorn. And you understand why a guy like that is never showing up on campus. Because if you get $4 million, you should 100% of the time take the $4 million and go start your pro career. College will always, not college baseball, but college will always be there. You can always go get your education. But it's one of those things. Someone asked me this morning what I thought about Cam Johnson. I remember Cam Johnson, who was a lefty who pitched at LSU and just really struggled with his command, was here for a season, and then went to Oklahoma, where he's been the last 2 years. He was taken in the 18th round, I believe Cam Johnson was. So I have no idea if Cam Johnson's going to sign a deal out of the 18th round. He entered the portal as well. If he plays a fourth year in college, I have no idea what he plans to do. And I wish him luck, sincerely. And I honestly think that for a guy like Cam Johnson, it'll probably serve him well going to play pro ball. Because the book on Cam Johnson was that he, in fall, was outstanding when there's 15 people in the stands. But when there were 10,000 people on a Friday, the moment was too big for him. And that maybe going and working with Skip Johnson and going to Oklahoma, where it's just not quite as intense as LSU, might have served him well, and it just never materialized either way. So I think for Cam Johnson, he'll get into a professional baseball setting and system where it's not about winning games, it's about developing, and I think eventually it'll click for him. The stuff is undeniable. He's got big league stuff, but I hope that for him. But the other part of it is back to Hirschhorn. He went 84 overall. The slot value for the 84th pick was $973K. He got $4 million. I mean, he got more than 4 times slot value. So great job by the Atlanta Braves. Jay Johnson referenced that yesterday when he was here with us. Sometimes, there's a senior sign, or you take a high school player that's going to take less, or you can save some money to give it to a guy like Hirschhorn, who's sitting there around, nearing pick 100, and you take him at 84, and you pay him like a top 20 pick, but it goes to show you how you end up in a situation like this. Look, Hirschhorn is one that they were hoping they might be able to get really leading into the draft. The pitchers that the Friday before the draft and the conversations I was having with folks over there was they knew Schmidt was never showing up. They were hopeful it could work out for Hirschhorn, for Lucas Naraki, and we saw it happen with Naraki. I mean, you get Naraki on campus, who pulled his name out of the draft, and then Hirschhorn was lingering, but ultimately we know why it worked out the way it did. Atlanta scrapped together the money and ultimately got him $4 million. So congrats to Hirschhorn, off to start his pro career, and a wealthy young man at that. All right, it's After Further Review, powered by Arco, arco.com, 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 ARCCO, Arco Power Systems, Industrial Generac Generator Power. We tell you about Arco Power Systems every single day, and listen, I mean, every day I wake up this week, I'm doing my cold plunge at 5:30 in the morning, and I can just hear the rain pouring outside. And you just know it's that time of year. It's storm season, and sometimes it's not even the named storm. Sometimes it's the high wind, the heavy rain, the hail, whatever it is that can knock out power. We know what you do at home. Like, we all have a plan for what happens when the power goes out at our house. What about at your business? That's what Arco Power Systems does. Industrial Generac Generator Power. This is for your business, your commercial building, grocery stores, gas stations, banks, hospitals, schools, any industrial facility, municipalities, ARCCO, home bases in Baton Rouge, but y'all, they service the whole region, okay? Talking north to Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio. Draw a giant circle. Anywhere in that footprint, you want Arco. ARCCO. Arco.com, arco.com, arco.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn and the Aflac kickoff game have announced an NIL deal for the Baylor opener. That's interesting, right? So it's a multi-million-dollar deal, making the first time a neutral site college football game has incorporated NIL compensation for student athletes. Not that this is similar from what Nike just did with LSU, but it'll involve third-party entities. More than 24 Auburn student athletes will promote the game through social media posts, public appearances, ads, etc. The game will be on ABC at 2:30 Central on that opening week off. Yeah.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs Hoops earned a commitment from a 4-star big man. Center Caleb Wilrigo has committed to Arkansas over BYU, UConn, and Kentucky. Visited Fayetteville this past weekend. 6'11", 246. He's going to reclass, so he'll be available for Arkansas this coming season. He's the number 57 player for the 27 class, but again, is expected to reclass.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
UCLA transfer righty Landon Stump is headed to start Vegas. They actually Mississippi State faced Stump in a non-conference game in Arlington earlier this year, so there's a little bit of familiarity. Made 18 appearances as a junior here in 2026 with 13 starts, hurling 54 2/3 innings with a 4.12 ERA.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
And Georgia has lost an assistant baseball coach to an SEC rival. Nick Amirati is headed to Auburn. He was the Bulldogs hitting coach for the last 2 seasons. Now he'll be Auburn's hitting coordinator. Joined Georgia prior to 2025 after 3 years at Kentucky. So lots of experience in the Southeastern Conference. Bulldogs, we know, led the league and the country in homers each of the last 2 seasons, 25 and 26, 179 home runs this past season. But they'll have a new hitting coach coming in, or Georgia's will have to hire a new hitting coach as Nick Amirati is headed to Auburn. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. SunnyQuip.com, SunnyQuip.com. Interesting that, I'm not sure if you saw this, but I mean, talk about jumping aboard a sinking ship. Tom Herman has been hired at Florida State to join Mike Norvell's staff. We'll see what he'll be like an assistant to Mike Norvell. So we'll see what his role may be. He last coached in 2024 at FAU. So he sat out the 25 season. So he'll be back in the game now. Herman's 51 years old. He was 54-20 at Houston, and then Texas. Had 2 top 10 finishes in 2015 in Houston, 2017 at Texas, but then face planted at FAU, went 6-16. Back in 2021, he was an offensive analyst with the Chicago Bears, and then had a 3-year run as Ohio State's offensive coordinator under Urban Meyer, which is when he started to elevate before he got the Houston job, and then looked like he would be looked like he would end up being the LSU head coach. I mean, we all remember the story, how it all transpired. That fell through. He went to Texas, and, of course, LSU hired Ed Ogeron. The rest, as they say, in history. But On 3 was the first report of Tom Herman headed to Florida State. But my goodness, Mike Norvell and Florida State, after the incredible season-opening win a year ago against Alabama and looking like Tommy Castellanos, the Boston College transfer, was going to maybe bring Florida State back. The undefeated season 3 years ago, to have the disappointment subsequent to think last year might have been the resurgence. It just didn't happen. It feels like this is it for Mike Norvell. So, Tom Herman, hey, Tom, rent in Tallahassee, don't buy. It's after further review. We'll knock out our final break of hour number 1. Kendall Rogers in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll look forward to that conversation. What SEC teams won, lost in the draft, all that sort of stuff. We'll get to that here in about 15 minutes from right now. But when we come back, I want to sort through this story, but there's a class action lawsuit that's been filed by 11 athletes against the NCAA, and why this could be relevant here. I'll make it make sense in a minute. Stay here. It's AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where they are. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local. I think it's just so important, y'all, to bypass the big box stores. Bypass the big box stores and support a great local company that's been around for 60 years supporting our community. Highly recommend that you go check out Clegg's on Facebook. They do an awesome job. Anytime they have new shipments of flowers, they have new product arriving, they have specials going on. You want to see their weekly advertisement, their weekly discount ad, you can check it out on their Facebook page. Always recommend that you do that. It's Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. And remember, make sure you grab one of those Aeon mosquito barriers. Want to be done with mosquitoes for 90 days at a time. You can do it, and Clegg's can help. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I make a little room.
The NCAA is facing a federal class action lawsuit. There's 11 Division I athletes, including some basketball standouts, that have filed this class action suit in Colorado. What's at issue here is the NCAA's new eligibility rules. They're instituting the 5 for 5, right? Every athlete has 5 years to play 5 seasons. Well, that does not include the student athletes that just finished their eligibility in the 25-26 school year. So, if you're a basketball player and just this season you exercised your eligibility, you're not eligible for another season under the 5 for 5. It starts next year. It makes sense to me. But anyway, they're going to court saying, hey, wait, what about us? Why wouldn't the juniors then come, hey, what about us? Or whatever. But it's worth noting that last week, an Ohio judge granted 24 men's and women's college basketball players a preliminary injunction to be able to continue their careers for next year. And we know what's at odds here. These are guys, men and women, who don't have a professional career but can make money in college if they're able to extend their career. Think Diego Pavia. And so if successful, all athletes who just finished their eligibility this past season, the 25-26 school year, they'd have another season of eligibility. Now, I think this is nearly impossible for football because football players are either already in the NFL or if their careers are done, they've spent the last 6 or 7 months out of the game. It would feel nearly impossible here in July to re-engage and start ramping up and find a place where you'd have a roster spot. No, that doesn't feel likely. Men's basketball, though, would be interesting because for non-NBA players, if your eligibility just expired and you didn't get drafted and you're not a pro, but you're a good college player, there would certainly be a spot for you in time before the season tips off in November to figure that out. Like, for example, one of the guys on this lawsuit is Cade Tyson. Cade Tyson started his career at Belmont, went to North Carolina, then this last year played at Minnesota. He was played in 123 games, averaged 19.6 points per game at Minnesota this past year. He's the guy that wants another year of eligibility. Not a pro, but a 20-point per game guy in the Big Ten this past year. Well, another year of eligibility, that's an interesting guy. I look at this and go, that could be helpful for Will Wade, because as of right now, Will Wade's got 4 guys on his team. Will has gone the international route. He seems to be confident that he's going to get these international guys eligible. We already found out that Yam Madar, who was at the crux of a lot of this dissent, because he's the one that's 25 years old, the 25-year-old Israeli point guard, Yam Madar re-signed with his Israeli team. So what if Will Wade doesn't get all these international guys eligible? You need a roster. Well, what's a way you can do it? I mean, this is a possibility. You got money to spend, and you might have a whole new crop of players that could be potential targets via the portal or eligibility or whatever it may be, if these players are granted their injunction or if they win their class action lawsuit before the start of the school year. So something we're going to follow here, because it could be impactful potentially for LSU basketball. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. SportsCenter's coming up. We're going to get you caught up on national headlines. When we kick off hour number 2, we'll talk to Kendall Rogers. And then after that, Brian Kelly gave about a 30-minute interview on a Notre Dame podcast, talked about a lot of stuff. Time at LSU, assistant coaching hires, a lot of good stuff we'll dive into. Stay here. Stay far.
After Further Review.
Love telling you about Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Hey, I want to remind you, go to Rouse's. Always a great spot to make your groceries for your mom and them. And if you're buying on a budget, and a lot of us are, they always have the Rouse's weekly ad at the website. You can get it on social media as well. But it's a great way to know what they have on sale if you want to take advantage of great specials like they always have throughout the summer and throughout the year. Like today, Tuesday, is $5 Sushi Tuesdays. That's every Tuesday over at Rouse's. So you want to get amazing hand-rolled sushi in-house every Tuesday. You can get it for just $5. It's over at Rouse's. Any Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Check out our friends over at Rouse's. This feels like home.